Hey y'all, welcome back. Before we get into the actual meat and potatoes of this video, I do just want to say a quick thank you. I'm going to keep it brief because this is already going to be a long one, but we did hit 2,000 subscribers, and it's because my last video of the ranking of all the Draculaura dolls did really well. You guys seemed to really enjoy it, and it honestly was so heartwarming to have so much support for that because I had so much fun filming that video, and like the prepping even to create that video was so much fun for me. So the fact that you guys loved it and that more people came to join the channel, like, I don't know what to say. Like, thank you. I just really appreciate it. I did make a post on my community tab about it because, like I said, this video is really long, so I don't want to get too crazy, but it just really makes me feel so happy that creating videos is such a light in my life. And I feel like there's just more and more people every day who are kind of sharing in that with me. So thank you to all of you. But to get into the actual video that you guys clicked on, I've been thinking about this concept for a while, that Rainbow High's clothing designs are really inconsistent, like for each character. I've mentioned that in some videos previously, but today I just wanted to sit down and do like a really detailed analysis of how and why I think Rainbow High has such bad character design consistency. But before we can get into that, I do have to go over just some parameters and some disclaimers really quick. I do want to say I'm looking at just the original characters, the original 6 dolls. That's because they've had the most dolls with like the most outfits come out, so there's just a wider pool for me to pull from to be able to look at their different fashion examples. I am also coming at this as someone who doesn't watch the show, so I can only look at like the character design and the little blurbs about them on the MGA Rainbow High website. I don't know anything about them in the show. I actually think that that might be better for this project just because I'm not going to be biased by anything I might know about their personality or their actions or what they do during the course of the show. I'm literally just looking at the design. For this analysis, I won't be looking at their cheerleading outfits just because they are cheerleading uniforms. So while they're all a little bit different, like they're not just cookie cutter, copy and pasted, I do think that they don't have quite the same degree of individuality as the dolls' other outfits do, and I just don't think that they're going to be good examples of each doll's personal style. I also wanted to say that I do fully understand that real people, actual humans, can change in style over the course of their life, or they can even just decide to dress differently day to day. If you guys have been watching for a while, you absolutely know that throughout the course of this channel, and then also just from video to video, my style changes a lot. Like, I know that firsthand that that is something that you can do. However, I do think it's different with a doll. I kind of look at Rainbow High as a situation where each doll should be a very clear caricature of their style inspiration. Like, each one should very clearly represent a different style. Again, humans don't have to have consistency with style, but with dolls, especially dolls that technically are aimed at kids, I think that it should be consistent. So I just wanted to say that. I don't want anybody being like, oh, well, people don't have to have the same style all the time. I know people don't, but I feel like dolls kind of do, and so that's kind of what I'm basing this argument on. If you disagree with that, this is probably not the video for you, but like if you can get down with that, keep watching. With all that being said, now we can jump in. We are going to go in rainbow order, which means that we are going to be starting with Ruby, and to kind of get an idea of the basis for her character design, I do want to look at the blurb of her description on the Rainbow High website and just kind of the most outstanding portions that kind of describe her style. I will put the whole thing up here if you want to pause to read it all, but I'm just going to be talking about the highlights. So Ruby is supposed to blaze new style trails. She likes hype-worthy looks, very fire looks. She's supposed to design custom kicks. She has a little bit of sporty glam there, and she just has like a little bit of edge too. And then her 3 like core adjectives, her core descriptors, are casual, trendy, and fire. So I think that that paints a pretty clear description of what Ruby is meant to look like based off of the character that they had in mind, right? To look at how well the dolls represent that, I am going to go in order of Ruby's timeline, not the doll's timeline. So I'm actually going to be starting with her junior high doll. In my opinion, everything but her hair really does fit the description that Rainbow High and MGA have posed for Ruby. I think it's pretty on the nose, a little bit of sporty influence, very trendy. I don't know if she's intended to have designed her shoes, but I do think that for someone who apparently designs shoes, her shoes look really cool in her junior high design, so it is very appropriate, even if she didn't technically make them. The only thing that I don't love is the like super high half-up ponytail. For me, that just reads like a little bit too cutesy to quite be Ruby's vibe, but it's not terrible. Like, it's just one little thing, and she was younger, so I do think that we're off to a good start with junior high Ruby. Then we have the original doll with her 2 outfits. Again, I actually think that these are really good. Very much something that I think would have been like an outfit of the day on Instagram, like a tinge of that sporty influence in there. I do think on her original doll, for again, someone who is supposed to design custom shoes, the just clear strap heels are a little boring on her first outfit, but her second outfit does have the flame design heels, which are absolutely a standout and I think definitely make up for it. Then the other big thing is that I don't think it's too much of a stretch to imagine junior high Ruby kind of evolving into her original character design. I think that those two can be connected pretty easily, and so we have a good start for a cohesive design. Then, I know I said I don't watch the show, and I really don't, but they did a thing where each character was on a runway show with a piece that they designed, and I just wanted to include this because I think it's good to have a wider pool of examples to pull from, and I do think it's a good chance to, again, just look at more things that the characters would wear or have designed in this case to be able to get a good sense of their style. So Ruby's dress does have a transformation to it. Before the transformation, I think that the beanie does have like a hint of that more sporty edge to it, while the rest of her outfit is very much like Instagram does Boss Babe, where it's very edgy, but there's some tinge of interesting like professionalism to it. I don't know, I probably don't have the words to describe it, but I think that it's really, really on point. And then when it transforms, it's not my personal style. Like, I don't love it with the like tied jacket influence. However, I do think it really does emphasize that sporty influence that Ruby has in her fashion. So while it might not be for me, I think that this is dead on perfect designing for Ruby. I think this is the perfect way to take her everyday style and elevate it to a runway level. Like, I have no complaints with this from a style standpoint. That brings us to the winter break doll for Ruby. Her first outfit is just a snowsuit, which again, I think makes a lot of sense. It's very practical, but it also is just like a sporty fashion thing. Like, I feel like I could see her making this into an actual outfit. The sequins on the hat, a little bit much for me. Like, they're a little bit off, but it's not terrible at all. I definitely think that her snowsuit perfectly in line with Ruby. And then to Ruby's final look that we've seen, which is her second winter break outfit. This is stunning. This is so on the nose. From the checked skirt to the flame on her shirt to the really, like, interestingly standout shoes. It's so perfect. It is so Ruby. So literally from start to finish, Ruby has got great character design, great consistency, very clear style inspiration for all of her dolls, in my opinion. So you might be thinking, why am I making this video? I did want to just go in rainbow order because, like, that's easy and convenient. But it's very fortuitous to me that Ruby had such a great character design and great character cohesion, because this sets the stage for what the Rainbow High dolls should be. This is how they should be designed. You should absolutely be able to look at every edition of the doll and see the style influence that started everything for that character. But you don't see that for the rest of the dolls. So Ruby being first, coincidence, but it is a great coincidence because it really shows you an example of what things should be, so that it's even easier to compare and contrast how things go downhill from here. So with that, let's talk about Poppy. Poppy's description includes these highlights. Her shoes are one of her favorite statement pieces. She loves to take risks with her fashion. She's very like streetwear and hip hop, glam, all of that stuff. Her three descriptors are fresh, cool, and butterfly, which is interesting. I get that the butterfly motif is really good for Poppy, and it like matches obviously with the orange and the monarch thing, but I don't know, fresh and cool and then butterfly. Butterfly's kind of the odd one out there. That being said, I still think that it's pretty easy to imagine what the creators had in mind for Poppy here. To me, I kind of picture someone who is wearing something and you see them walking down the street and you're kind of like, oh, that's different. And then like a couple weeks later, everyone's wearing it because it's the hot new trend and she just started it. That's kind of what I get for Poppy. So with that in mind, that's not what we got from her junior high doll. I do want to say that I love this design, but it just so isn't what I was expecting given that description. The pastel daisy boots, the big flowy bell sleeves, obviously the butterfly pattern, but like the big flowy bell sleeves with the ribbons in the hair. It's all very, very cutesy and very sweet, which isn't a bad design. I'm not saying it's bad or that it's like a problem to dress that way, but it's not what I was expecting from Poppy. If you were just looking at the description and then you saw this doll, you'd be like, what? Like, they changed the style inspo somewhere along the line, right? I feel like Poppy's junior high design is very stereotypically feminine, and it isn't really anything like her original release. To be fair, I think that her first outfit on her original release is still not quite what I would have imagined, but it's definitely a lot closer. She's got the big statement boots that have that monarch motif without it being so cutesy. I think that the bustier adds a little bit of edge. The jacket especially is like absolutely streetwear vibes. So this is much more in line with the description, you know? Her second outfit, again, I think that the skirt is great, hoodie, obviously. The heels are a little bit basic, but I think adding the gold metallic socks under them gives them just enough edge to where it could go along with the description. Again, I don't think it's 100% perfect, but this is much closer to what I had imagined in my head after reading what Poppy was supposed to be inspired by. So you might be thinking, maybe she just had like a change of heart between junior high and then going to Rainbow High. You know, that can happen. Yes, but things still don't stay consistent from here, and that's the problem. Poppy's fashion show design is absolutely stunning. I think it's beautiful. I am a sucker for butterflies, so I'm kind of biased in that regard. But the only thing it has in common with her previous designs is the butterfly motif. It's very, again, stereotypically feminine. Her fashion show look really is so classic and feminine and sweet and elegant. And then especially once it transforms into a longer version of the dress, it is beautiful. The print is very exciting, but the silhouette is very simple and classic and, again, elegant, which is great, but is not what I feel like is Poppy. Then with her winter break, we suddenly are going back to like the super sweet, innocent almost vibes of her junior high doll. Once again, I love this doll. I literally have it behind me on the shelf displayed in this outfit. I think it's very cute, but it is so cute and sweet and happy, and it's just not what I would imagine from Poppy. Her second winter break outfit is a little bit better. I think that the coat dress has like a little bit more going on with it, but it is still just so sweet. Her shoes especially, I think if they had been paired with a different outfit, even with her original outfit, those could read very streetwear and very cool and crisp, but they just don't. Like, the overall vibe is just not it. I feel like if you laid out all of Poppy's clothes, aside from the fact that they're all orange, so it's very easy to tie them to her, I would genuinely think they came from 3 different dolls. I don't get why they could not get it together with Poppy. So that's Poppy. Moving on to Sunny. Her description says that she is the kind of cute that can only be described as kawaii. She's adorable, quirky but cool, loves interesting and bold patterns, and like a hint of glam to kind of pull it together. And then her 3 main traits are happy, quirky, and cute. I think by far Sunny's is the most clear description that we get. The like cutesy, very Japanese fashion influence style is so easy to picture and easy to design to me. I think that this is just such a clear-cut style. So I feel like this one should be super easy. And we do go off to a great start because her junior high doll absolutely does embody this kawaii fashion inspiration. From the charms to the emojis to the rainbow platforms, it is just perfect. And it also transitions very easily into her original doll's first outfit. I actually made that comment when I did my junior high Sunny review, that it's so easy to see how she could have gone from her junior high look to evolving but maintaining that same style and becoming the original Sunny doll. It's not pictured in the stock photo, but her first outfit, the jacket actually has a sun and moon painted on the back, which I think, again, just gives it that extra something and really does exemplify that Japanese cutesy fashion influence. Her second outfit for her original doll, I think, was a bit of a miss. Other than the sequins kind of inside the rips on her jeans, it honestly reads a little bit more trendy to me. Like, if it were in red, it would have made perfect sense on Ruby. It's not the worst thing ever. I do think it was a bit of a miss. Again, not terrible, but it also doesn't read as cutesy as her first outfit does. Then we get to move on to the fashion show, and pre-transformation, this is frankly really boring. Like, it's just a gradient dress. There's nothing really special about it. Once it does transform into the sort of like upside down umbrella with little crystal raindrops hanging from it, there's definitely a lot more visual interest, but I feel like we really need to keep in mind that Sunny's style is influenced by extreme, cute Japanese fashion. If you guys have seen anybody who wears that or have seen any influencers on Instagram who dress in that sort of style, you know it's very extreme. It's really cool. It's honestly so awesome how they can have so many accessories and just be like so visually impactful and look so awesome. And I just feel like with a style inspiration that the sky is literally the limit. For this, it's just kind of tame. It's not bad, but it just feels like they could have gone so much further with this design. Like, Sunny has so much potential to do something so crazy with her runway outfit, and she just really didn't. But it's okay, because we kind of bring it back together with her winter break designs. Compared to all the other characters, Sunny does have the most, like, other colors besides her primary yellow color palette involved, which is interesting to me, but it obviously fits her, like, design inspiration so well with the rainbows and the colors and the duo pom-poms. Everything about her first winter break outfit absolutely screams cute style. It's perfect. And then her second outfit is also just an absolute stunner for that design. I know that I don't have this doll because it's like not personally for me, but looking at the style inspiration, this is it. The jeans alone, jeans, pants, I don't know, but the pants alone are 100% what you would expect from this cutesy, over-the-top, emoji, rainbow sort of design. And then when you top it off with a kidcore sort of shirt, it just ties the whole look together. It is absolutely perfection. So Sunny, I feel like, had a couple of little, like, minor deviations where really it was just that her fashion show outfit and then her second original outfit were kind of boring for her. But overall, she's fairly good. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, the same cannot be said for Jade. I think Jade is interesting because her description is actually the one that I found the hardest to pin down what her style is supposed to be. Her description includes things like daring fashion styles, looser cuts, and dramatic streetwear silhouettes. She likes comfy and bold, and then her three main things are that she's sporty, edgy, and original. I think the inclusion of original there is kind of weird because each doll should have their own kind of original spin on their designs. It just feels like a throwaway, like, oh, original, but it's like, what does that really mean, you know? I also didn't highlight this part, but I hate that in her description for Jade, it literally says that she's not like the other girls because she doesn't like skinny jeans and skirts and tailored jackets. Like, it's giving such major pick-me vibes, and I'm not saying that Jade is a pick-me, I'm just saying that whoever wrote this really thought that not liking stereotypically girly things is, like, so different and so unique. Like, it's so not like the other girls, it's driving me insane. And then it's very ironic because literally in the same sentence it says that Jade enjoys streetwear, which is also part of Poppy's description. So she's like, I'm not like the other girls except I'm like Poppy. I don't know. I know I'm getting really sassy here, but I hated that. I feel like Jade's description was just so weird. And because of that, I actually do want to go slightly out of order for her, and I want to look at her original doll first because I think it explains the description. The original Jade release, I did a review for that. It was one of the first videos I ever posted on my channel, and in that video, I literally made the joke that I was doing a Billie Eilish doll review. I think it is blatantly obvious that this doll is heavily inspired by Billie Eilish. It's fitting for the time. I don't follow pop culture that much, but I feel like Rainbow High first came out when it was just starting to fizzle down, where, like, for a while I had been hearing Billie Eilish's name nonstop, and she was just sort of coming out of her absolute peak. Not to say she's not still very popular, I'm just saying where I literally could not go a day without hearing her name, that was kind of when Rainbow High came out. So I get that they were gonna do a doll kind of inspired by her sort of fashions. However, I think the problem comes in because MJ decided to design a Billie Eilish type doll, and then they had to sort of make a description to fit that instead of finding a style and then designing a doll based upon that, which I think is the best order to go in. It's kind of like they had to figure out how to fit a character into a Billie Eilish designed doll instead of being able to just have full creative freedom, if that makes sense. Her second outfit, again, very clear, like loose layering, all of that stuff. Again, fine. It's a style. It's perfectly fine if they wanted to do that. But with having such a clear celebrity inspiration and then a vague description, I feel like all of the rest of Jade's dolls kind of fell apart. Now we can look at her junior high doll and you're gonna start to see what I mean. She's definitely in her junior high edition showing like a lot more skin. She's got a very tight crop top on. Again, doesn't matter, like I'm not judging her for it. I'm just saying that when the original doll had such a loose fitting silhouette, like you couldn't really define her body in there, and like a lot of skin was very covered up, it's a little bit different. I also think that the pigtails, I cannot imagine the original release of Jade like wanting to have pigtails like that. They just read as so very sweet to me. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I do think it's not so far off. I think at a stretch you could see where junior high Jade might have evolved into her original release, at a stretch. And I can kind of stop stretching once I get to her fashion show because this is just worlds apart. Obviously, I love Jade's fashion show design. Oh my god, she's a literal alt queen. All of the metal detailing, all of the charms, all of the hair accessories, the boots, it's so perfect. I love it so much, but it is worlds away from her original design. And I think that at the end where she transforms her dress and it has all of these green lightning like things shooting out of it, and it's like a longer skirt made of green lightning, it only makes the difference even more apparent to me. I usually don't curse on this channel, but that transformation moment was such a badass moment that it deserves an exception. It's just that it doesn't match up with her original description to me or her original doll release. I just feel like it's so far apart that while I absolutely adore it, if it wasn't green, I would not have thought that this was Jade, which is kind of a problem. And then going to winter break, we kind of jump back into sporty for her first look. It is again the snowsuit with the jacket, which is kind of interesting to me because she literally is like, oh, I'm so original in her description. But that's pretty much exactly what Ruby is wearing. It's just in green. Again, like the silhouette and everything is much more in line with her original doll. That makes sense. But it's just kind of weird to me to be like, I'm original, and then wear the same thing as one of the other dolls in the line. I don't know. And then going down again to winter break second outfit for Jade, she's back to being kind of punk and kind of alt. I think I said that in my review of her, where it's just so weird. I feel like I'm getting whiplash from how fast and how far Jade is jumping between these different styles. Again, I can't stress this enough. For a regular person, for a real human, this wouldn't matter, but for a doll, it is very visually confusing. So it is on that note that we move on to Skyler. Her style is supposed to be all American. She loves classic fabrics like denim, just very fabulous but still down to earth, and her 3 core traits are classic, denim, and sweet. I do think that that's a pretty clear description, lots of denim happening there, but it's pretty clear nonetheless, and her junior high doll absolutely embodies this. I think that the half up bun absolutely adds a little bit of sweetness to this. It is all very classic, but kind of like cool at the same time. The sort of thing that never goes out of style. And of course, we've got her denim skirt. And just like Sunny, this transitions so easily into Skyler's first look for her original release. Again, lots and lots of denim. It's kind of a basic outfit with just these standout shoes to kind of make it pop, make it something special. I think it makes a ton of sense for Skyler. Her second original release, or like her second outfit for her original release, I think it's not terrible. I think the dress is like a little bit edgy for Skyler in my personal opinion, but with the addition of the white long sleeve underneath and then just basic shoes, I think it pulls it back enough for it to still be cohesive. This to me kind of reads as Skyler on like a slightly more daring day where she's not wearing any denim. But yeah, I think that it still makes perfect sense. And thankfully, the same can be said for her runway outfit. This is, I think, very interesting because hers is the only one that didn't have a transformation. And while it might have been kind of boring in the context of the show, I actually think it's perfect for Skyler. She's just letting her design speak for itself without any crazy transformation or crazy frills. It's all denim, which like, I don't personally love it, but if they were going to pick denim as one of her core style traits, they absolutely made that happen here. The silhouette's kind of interesting, but at the same time, very just classy and relatively simple compared to something like, say, Jade's dress. I think this was absolutely knockout perfect for her. Then moving on to winter break Skyler, her first outfit is again sort of a snowsuit like Jade and Ruby's, except hers is much tighter. I think it gives it more of a sweet vibe, still fulfilling the like purpose of a snowsuit, but it's just like a little bit less sporty and a little bit more cute to me. And then she's got her jacket on top, her sequined hat. I think that all is quite perfect. We're doing so good for Skyler. Her second outfit was interesting. This one I actually couldn't find a stock photo of her wearing it, which was fascinating because all of the other dolls, it was very easy to find stock photos for them. I might have just missed this one, but just fascinating little tidbit there. Obviously we have the denim, we've got the glitter, like it does seem very sweet and obviously very denim. I would argue that this is a little bit more like 2000s inspired more than classic never goes out of style sort of thing. It's not terrible. I think it's like a little bit of a miss, but it's not as far off as some of the others that we've seen, so I kind of have to give her a pass there. Like it's not the worst. Some deviations in Skyler's designs, but overall really, really pretty solid there. And then lastly, we've got Violet. We're almost done, guys. Violet's design is supposed to be show-stopping pieces with luxe details and plenty of bling. Luxe, luxe, and more luxe. She likes couture pieces with dramatic shapes and silhouettes. And then her core 3 traits are glamour, luxe, and drama. Her design is literally described as luxe 5 times in the blurb about her on the Rainbow High website. So I think it's pretty clear that she likes fancy stuff, she likes sparkly stuff, and she likes drama. Once again, just like with Jade, though, I do want to look at her original doll first. You're going to understand why in a second. So Violet's first outfit on her original doll very clearly fits in with the theme here. She's got a full sequin dress, a big fur coat, definitely lots of drama. She even has shiny socks. Like, there's no way you could not see this fitting her style description. Her second outfit, I think, is a little bit less so. The dress does have a very, like, dramatic silhouette, and it's got, like, a lot of ribbons and stuff. There's a lot happening with it. The moto jacket, I think, is a little bit more simple, but overall, it's still pretty in line, in my opinion. Like, I can still kind of see this. Then we go to junior high Violet. I do know that this look is Britney Spears inspired. We're gonna get to that in a second, but looking at it just from a clothing perspective, kind of taking away the pop culture reference for a second, there's literally no bling on this outfit except for a teensy bit on her shoes. Other than that, it's very plain, fairly simple, definitely very, very preppy vibes, which is a style, but not the style that we were supposed to get with Violet. With Violet, I kind of think we had the opposite problem that Jade had, where her original description and her style inspiration were thrown out in order to have the pop culture reference. Whereas I feel like they could have maybe had this pop culture reference with a different character and it would have made more sense. But yeah, she ended up suffering in her junior high design because of that. So how does Violet fare the rest of the time? Well, her fashion show outfit at the start I think is not so bad. The feathers and the sequins all over, or the sparkles all over, definitely very eye-catching, definitely quite dramatic. However, the look completely falls apart for me when it has its transformation, heavy quotation marks there, because the transformation is literally just adding a little second layer of feathers. Just like with Sunny's, my complaint is that you could do so much more. If Violet is the queen of drama and luxe and like bougie fashion with lots of sparkles, don't you think she would have had a more dramatic transformation? Like, if this is her chance to be on the runway and be shining at her absolute brightest, you don't think she would have done more? Really? Like, it's not bad, it's just that it falls so flat for what she could have had. Unfortunately, her winter break looks are not going to pull anything back from the brink here. The first one, super simple, literally not any sparkle anywhere, kind of classic silhouettes, like it's not anything crazy or different or dramatic. And then her second winter break design, more of the same. Again, like there's a little bit of shininess to her jacket and her skirt, but it's not sparkly, it's not glittery, it's not dramatic or anything like that. I think I said this in some video at some point, but her winter break designs look more like they'd be suited to Bella if she had a winter break doll than they do like they fit Violet. And that's not what you want to hear. So where does that leave us? Kind of sum it all up. Ruby was consistent overall. I will absolutely give mad props to Ruby for that. Poppy was meant to enjoy streetwear and cutting-edge fashion, but somehow along the way turned into just a soft girl at some point. Sunny stayed mostly within her kawaii realm with just a couple of minor slip-ups along the way. Jade suffered from her Billie Eilish inspo and in the end could not have a concrete style to pull from. So sometimes she is loose and comfy, sometimes she is alt-star. You never know what you're gonna get with Jade. Skyler did hold it together, although I do think that a lot of that is just because denim was such a big focal point in her design that like all you had to do was do denim and that really, really helped to nail it. So Skyler did it, but I feel like her inspo was kind of easy, if that makes sense. And then Violet was meant to be a bling-loving, bougie kind of Instagram queen, and instead she flipped into just like a basic classic girl. Obviously some of these are a lot worse than others, but I just found it really interesting how much trouble it seems Rainbow High is having with keeping their style influence consistent between each character. It's not like they have tons and tons and tons of looks for each character too. They literally are 5 looks for each of these main 6 characters. I'm not pulling the outliers from like this big pool of outfits. It's only been 5 looks for each character, obviously not including the cheerleading line. And within those 5 looks, they still can't keep it together, which I don't feel like is a great sign. Obviously, I know things are a lot more complicated in actually making dolls, but to me, as an outsider, it seems like it should have been so easy to just keep Jade with the comfy but somehow chic aesthetic instead of suddenly trying to twist her into like an alt girl. Or it should have been so simple to just throw some glitter on Violet's designs to make it more interesting instead of just so basic. There is so much fashion out there in the world, so many different, very distinct styles. So it's just kind of baffling to me that the Rainbow High team seems to be having so much trouble pinning those styles down. It's interesting because I feel like going into this, I obviously thought that Rainbow High had some dissonance within their designs, otherwise I wouldn't have made this video. But when you put all of the looks next to each other, it's, to me, so viscerally clear how bad the problem is. So, that's the video. Too Long Didn't Watch is basically just that Rainbow High literally just has to pick a style and then make clothes in that style for a character, and they seem like they can't do it. At least that's to me. Definitely let me know how you guys feel about this down below in the comments. Am I crazy, or do you kind of see where I'm coming from? I don't know. I would love to talk about this more with you guys because I think it's such a fascinating topic, but it was a long one. I do hope that you guys enjoy the video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you next week in the next one. Bye, guys!